All right, so welcome to the U Media Comic Book Podcast. I am your host, Montgomery. I'm the librarian here at South Dade Regional Library. So we're going to be talking about different topics that's going on in the news in the world of comic books and such. But before we get started, so let's do a quick roundtable introduction. So to my left is...
My name is Chris Milici.
It's Lowell.
Hi, my name is Steven, and Anita Baker is a great singer.
It's your boy, Young Skitty Pete Pop Pop, back on this U Media podcast.
Just say your real name.
Listen, that's not my name, okay? That's not my name, Steven.
I said my name was Steven, and I also said
That's not my
Baker
name.
is a great singer.
That's not my name, Steven.
And
My name is Young Skitty Pete
Why'd
Pop
you bring up
Pop.
Anita Baker?
I don't know. I've been on the.
Why'd you bring up that anonymous name?
What? Anita Baker is not anonymous.
Well, I'm talking about Otis. Who is that?
You,
That guy sounds old. I'm not old.
Otis Stokely.
I don't know who that last name
You work at Little
Stalking?
Caesars, dog.
All right.
Come on.
Save that for another podcast.
They can give
All
me my
right.
social security card too. Damn.
So before we get started, I came across this just moments ago, and I don't have a printout, but this is in regards to the Oscars. It does affect what we like to watch. As far as best movies, they were adding a category for best achievements in most popular film, or something to that effect. Basically, unless it's outstanding achievement in popular film. So it's a separate category from best picture. So something that is popular, like say Black Panther or Avengers Infinity War, may get a shot of getting an award for that category, but may not win best picture. So I'm wondering, does it need to have its own award, or should best picture be just best picture?
Best picture should be just best picture. I don't see.
But then you're not going to get movies like Black Panther or...
I mean, but I don't know. I think it's like a double-edged sword. Like at the end of the day, because it's like, oh yeah, like there's that one movie that was like it was really amazing. Everybody really loved it, but they probably thought, but this movie wasn't that great.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, but everyone loved it. It's I think it goes into like one of those things that we always felt that like fans should probably get a vote because hey, yeah, the movie that they decide hey it wins best picture, it doesn't really resonate with what the fans really think. You know what I mean?
But isn't that like the MTV Movie Awards or
No,
Nickelodeon?
No, like because they're still picking it. Like, what's the most like popular, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, but it's not. I don't think the fans are picking it.
yeah, that's what I'm
like
saying. Like, the
Right.
Academy is still
actual
picking
judges.
it, but like,
It's like the Grammys.
but at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, you're still gonna like that. That could mean that something like a Transformer movie can win it. And oh god,
Maybe when it was the first one.
yeah, I would have went for it when the first one. So I would say like,
was cool.
we don't know how outrageous like the winners will be. So I think it has to be just like a good 3 years of watching. Like, okay, let's see what they go ahead and pick. All right, are these just outrageous like winners or whatever, or are they just picking like what's actually popular? You know what I mean?
I agree. I think a perfect example was when, I forget the year, but Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture. And there
that
was
was-
no animated Best Picture category.
I think that was last year.
No.
No,
We're talking about the
original.
animated movie.
Oh, the animated.
So after that, that's when they broke off animated movies to be in its own categories. And that would make sense, but if you're talking about a film that's live action both ways, it just seems kind of weird that you're just doing this kind of popular... you're not giving the fans at least an opportunity to vote on something to make it seem like it's more fair.
I just gotta step in here for a second. This is Colin.
Hey, Colin.
So I read this too. I read the article. I think the issue is, and I'll put this out to you guys, and maybe you can sort of give feedback. I think what Monty's sort of getting at is like, how do you define what falls into whatever category, right? So like, there's been years where like, Lord of the Rings, for example, The Return of the King won a bunch of Oscars, including Best Picture, right? And popular thought would tell you, okay, that's like a big blockbuster movie that would fall under this category, right? So if you introduce a new category, it would limit the opportunities for maybe movies that are sort of seen as big blockbuster populist movies, but maybe elevate themselves, right, to big Best Picture, right?
Right.
Whereas now this kind of gives the Academy this kind of out of going, all right, well, we'll put all these things that have special effects and, action and whatnot into this popular category. And now we can completely justify ourselves with putting all of these period dramas and, depressing movies or whatever like that into the Best Picture category.
Right.
So I don't know, what do you guys feel about that?
I would say I love the idea of a Best Picture category and a popular. Is it called popular picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, because for the sake of not only like movies like Black Panther and Avengers, but you have to give credit when a movie just surpasses like the numbers and it's like it gets so popular, whether or not it had the greatest story plot, whether or not it had the greatest characters or not. It just, if everyone is watching this movie, it says something.
Yeah.
And obviously Avengers breaking numbers, Black Panther breaking numbers.
But at this point, it's like LeBron breaking numbers. Like it's Marvel. We know you're gonna do it. I mean, it's like, but I do understand what you're saying. Like at the end of the day, like they're still doing like amazing things within like their own little realm, so they should be recognized for it. I just think that I don't know, the way I see it is like, I see it like a participation trophy from your kid's soccer game. You know what I mean? Like
Just for showing up.
That's what I feel like you're doing. It's like, oh well, these guys got to be winners too.
Right.
Let's
Unless
open
you
something
earn
up.
it, like the
Yeah.
Best Picture, you're the Best Picture, period. No question. Regardless if you're a mystery or some other genre, whatever that movie is, the best, it should be the best of all.
Yeah.
To add to what Colin was saying, those two categories, they're different though. They are like everything that's popular is not always the best, and everything that's best is not always popular. Like I've only seen the trailers, and I already believe like this movie is like 8th grade. I want to see that movie so bad.
Actually, there's a free screening, I think, tomorrow. No, tonight.
It's tonight. It's Wednesday.
Where?
Yeah,
8
tonight.
Where?
8 p.m. I'm not yet. You have to look it up somewhere.
Okay, cool. Look at that. And I believe 8th grade is going to be probably like nominated for like Best Picture or something, and even win it.
That's 8.4. They're doing amazing.
And right now, it's gaining some popularity. It's not all that popular. And the reason I could easily see it gaining a Best Picture nomination is because in that category, I believe what movies do is they impact you in some type of way. Like there's some type of response other than, oh, that was cool. That was characters and that was cool.
My reaction to every movie.
It moves you in some type of way. It impacts you. And I think that helps with the best category picture. Now, obviously, there's just movies that people, whether the marketing was so dope and so grand that made people want to go see it, that may not move you, but everyone is talking about it and everyone wants to go see it, like in Avengers. That deserves some credit. I think that's what that category kind of.
Yeah. Let me play devil's advocate just for a second.
Yeah, go for it.
So I see exactly what you're saying, and that's how I feel too, right? We sort of, it's one of those things, especially when we're talking about art, right? There's these sort of intangibles, right? We know it when we see it, right?
Yeah.
We know it. Okay, this deserves to be in the Best Picture sort of category sort of consideration, and this might belong in the other thing, right? In the past, it's been a little bit more nebulous, right? The thing that I brought up was Lord of the Rings, right? Traditional sort of thinking would tell you that this wouldn't be something that you'd throw in alongside a war movie, or like a period drama or something like that, but it was such a cultural touchstone that people just felt that they needed to put it in there, right? It like made so much money. It was so popular. It just sort of changed the sort of landscape of blockbuster cinema that they just sort of couldn't deny it, being considered there, right? So with that sort of thought, right, what Chris was saying was that, usually he thinks of a Best Picture nominee as a movie that changes you in some way or makes you think about something or sort of changes your thoughts on a subject, right? And so, I mean, you guys all know my thoughts on Marvel movies, right? But would not Black Panther, in some realm of argument, fall under that idea, right? A big budget movie, a significant big budget movie
Yeah.
with a pretty much predominantly African American cast, right? Something that hadn't really been done before. What do you guys think about that? Because under this sort of thing, your predominant thinking would tell you that it would fall within the popular thing, not the best picture thing. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Otis?
Otis.
So Mad Max
I'm
Fury
sorry, I was watching
Road.
that 8th grade trailer. I was really interested. I'm sorry.
I told you.
Mad Max Fury Road also was nominated. And that's something that I would never have thought it would ever be nominated other than for maybe cinematography or special effects, whatever it is. I never thought it would be of that caliber that it would be nominated.
Wait, another Mad Max came out recently.
Mad Max Fury Road, the last one.
The last one. Like whenever that came out, like what?
Steven's question: was it in the desert?
No, I was just asking you.
So
What
what-
came out recently? I didn't even know.
Would you guys
Same one.
nominate Black Panther in Best Picture if you guys were like had that choice?
Yeah.
Hold on, wait. Why do you say yeah?
Huh?
Why you say yeah?
It was a good-
What's your
asking
what's your point for putting that as best picture?
It was a great movie.
Why was it a great
The
movie?
directing of the movie, the action scenes were great.
Question is any action movies ever nominated for best picture?
For Best Picture?
I'm
You
pretty
just
sure.
mentioned.
Mad
Yeah.
Max.
Mad Max.
Mad Max.
I've
is
never
one.
watched it, so I wouldn't know.
I didn't even know there was another one out.
I knew I'm not gonna watch it.
Raiders of the Lost Ark was nominated, 1981,
I don't know.
and
what
it went
is.
against Chariots of Fire. And I got really mad that Raiders of the Lost Ark did not win.
I don't know what. any
But
of the
it was
movies are.
nominated for Best Picture. So, hands on, I
Give it
thought
a nod.
it's popular. But
Well, what do you think about Black Panther?
Did you even see it yet?
I
You did it.
people know like people already know how I feel about Black Panther.
Yeah, he was
Like-
just saying it only got popular because it was an all-black cast and it was making it out to be like for Black Power and stuff like that. Yeah,
yeah,
It's
but like
just a superhero
I
movie.
I've watched it. You know what I mean? I think it's cool.
It's just Marvel being Marvel.
I would go ahead and toss it more into that like popular like area because I watched it. It wasn't anything like, oh like yo like this really like strikes me, but like I do think like I don't know it's I'm not calling it Black Panther anymore. I'm just calling it Killmonger because like that's what like drew the movie. And I feel like
Right.
I think like the topic like it was what they're talking about, the topic of like for example for Wakanda, like do we go ahead and like give this out to the world or just like keep it to ourselves because we can go ahead and we can help billions or we can just sit here and keep all this to ourselves. Like I don't know.
I thought it was an interesting concept, the fact
Yeah.
that Killmonger had a point of view that I could almost agree with.
Yeah.
And that's what I think makes it more above other Marvel movies.
yeah.
It's a step above all that. It's
Because-
not just pure action. It's actually has some thinking behind it.
Yeah,
And
because
I-
they're actually talking about like a real world concept, like because I feel like Marvel movies, you don't really see, like stuff that really goes on in the real world,
Right.
like they're really isolated, as in like okay, like they don't have to worry about like feeding their children at night or whatever. Like they're just doing okay. I think Ant-Man kind of dealt with it like somewhat. It's like okay, yeah, this guy who just came out of jail and he's a convict, trying to get back into like taking care of his daughter, but and it still felt really removed, like from what a person like me goes through. But with Black Panther, I'm just like okay, yeah, I can kind of like relate with this. So like I think it's more relatable than
Yeah.
other things.
Definitely. So I think
Still a
Colin's
bad movie.
point. Would you give it that Best Picture because, and I agree the story plot wasn't like totally amazing and didn't, but Best Picture for like of what it stood for of the you're
That-
getting an image of
That's kind of what I was
a
getting
black
at.
hero.
There's been points in the past, where people have won Oscars, for Best Actor or even Best Cinematographer for things, not just for the thing itself, but
Yeah.
for the larger sort of picture, or
Yeah.
the larger cultural impact, or even the body of a director's work. A good example is when Martin Scorsese, you guys know him, right?
Yeah.
Martin
Yeah.
Scorsese. He won for The Departed, right? And people were like, it's kind of like an all right movie or whatever, but it's not, Goodfellas, and it isn't, like some of his other things, Raging Bull,
Goodfellas,
Taxi
yeah.
Driver. But it was sort of like he deserved it now, right? And Leonardo DiCaprio was kind of the same way, right? He'd done a bunch of things that were really good, and finally they're like, well, we'll give it to him, because
Shout
he
out
did pretty
Leo
good
DiCaprio.
in The Revenant, and so that sort of happens. And so that's, I guess, sort of what I was getting at. If it becomes a bigger cultural event, then sometimes the movie itself is less important than what the movie stands for.
Exactly, and I think that does factor in Best Picture, right? Like,
But the point that I'm getting at with the popular thing is that by having that option, you kind of undercut the ability for a movie like that to be considered for that, because it's like, oh, it's just another Marvel movie, just throw it in that pile, just throw it over there. And you can imagine that's kind of the problem with if they were to introduce like awards by genre. Right, so like best horror movie. Well, how do you define what a horror movie is? Right, we have things that are like the Blumhouse Paranormal Activity, and then we go all the way over to like The Exorcist or whatever. And like there's a variety.
And then it's like, wasn't at one point like Get Out was like listed as like a horror movie or something like that?
Well,
It was a horror movie, but
that was up for best
screenplay.
Best screenplay.
Yeah.
Wasn't it for best picture?
It might have been for director and screenplay.
Okay.
Not best picture.
Yeah. So I mean, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's a bigger thing than the thing itself.
Yeah.
Right.
was it listed as a comedy too? Get
I
Out?
think it's probably listed as a lot of things.
Yeah.
So that's the problem with genre, right? Is that you try to start plugging things into a certain hole, and like people don't, just like people, right? You can't fit into a perfect hole, right? Like
Yeah,
just
but
a movie.
I heard like one award show nominated for a comedy or something.
The Martian.
The Golden Globes.
The Golden Globes nominated The Martian as a comedy, and I'm like, where?
Wow.
Except for him eating the potatoes from where he made it from, I'm not laughing at this, but it's a category in which The Martian was easy to win that award, as opposed to another category that it faced stiffer competition. That's my thinking. But
And that's kind of the problem when you start creating these like subcategories. I think it's really let's back this up to what Monty was saying before with the division between Best Picture and then Best Animated Feature. So back in 1992, we didn't have all the CG, right?
Yeah.
So there was a really clear distinction between what a live action film is and an animated film. Like animated films were drawn by hand and everything. But if I were to watch a Marvel movie, how much percent of that do you think is actually animated with computers? Whenever you see Iron Man flying around, that's animated, right?
Yeah.
Whenever the Hulk comes out, that's animated, right? So it's one of those things that, like, over time, it becomes really dicey when you create these hard and fast, like, genre sortings, and then you have to sort of figure out, where things fall. Like, here's another option. The Lego Movie. You guys all seen the Lego Movie?
yeah, Lego movie's pretty
Right.
lit.
No.
You guys you ever seen a Lego movie?
Dude, Lego movie's
Oh
pretty
my
lit,
gosh.
bro.
Yes, no.
All right.
That movie.
Isn't that thing when like, everything is awesome?
Yeah.
Everything is awesome. You haven't seen that? Oh. Well, it's
fire.
fine that you haven't seen it. You guys have seen it, right?
Yes.
So during the Lego Movie, there's scenes with a famous actor in it, right?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell,
Yeah.
right? That's not animated, right? But it's considered an animated movie, right?
Because the majority of it.
Yeah. So that's the point that I'm getting at, is that it becomes really hard to sort of define these things. Yeah. I think that's the problem with this category, maybe.
yeah. So aside from that, they plan to do now a 3-hour telecast instead of going on forever. And then, of course, some categories are going to have to be left out, which we'll see what happens next year's Oscars. Could be good, it could be bad, but we'll see how it goes. So let's get on some news as to what we want to talk about.
All right.
So Lowell's going to have our first topic.
And now
Alright,
big facts for
So
Lowell.
I think both of these kind of go hand in hand. So
You're taking mine, really?
yeah, bro, I'm reading everything.
Lowell's leading it.
And
Alright.
now big facts for
So
Lowell.
recently, So recently, everybody know that James Gunn, the director of the Guardian of the Galaxy series, he's been fired because he made some statements 9 years ago,
Some long time
Yeah.
ago on
a
Twitter.
long time ago, and they were very offensive. So he was fired from the film. So this first one says that for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, that his script was rumored to have been tossed out by Disney. This other one says that Dave Bautista, he plays Drax, due to them wanting to go ahead and toss out his James Gunn's script, that Dave Bautista is going to go ahead and quit if they don't use James Gunn's script. All right. So, how does everybody feel about this?
What was the Twitter remark? Do you know?
It was derogatory. It was offensive comments or things that he wrote of a certain nature that just didn't sit well with Disney.
Yeah.
The problem lies is that you can also argue that, Disney was also anti-Semitic back in his day, and yet you have this conglomerate that is honoring the legacy of Disney, but they don't talk about that past.
Yeah.
So it's a double-edged sword. It's like, well, James Gunn, yeah, he said things that were, at that time, maybe it was funny, maybe it wasn't, but that was him. He's a different person than he is now, today. And even if you look at the movie, The Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like all these people who have questionable backgrounds somehow are able to rise above their past.
It was a racist remark.
Not racist.
No.
Oh no, it wasn't. I just read the tweet, so it's nowhere near racism.
It wasn't that.
Nowhere near racism. Just keep your children away from.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you need to understand James Gunn's sort of
Am I
background, I guess, in some ways. There's a context to it. He used to work for a company called Troma, and it's kind of a shock horror
The Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, they make Toxic Avenger. He made Romeo and Juliet, and so he it comes from a tasteless kind of comedy background, and so he would say things that you're not expecting your grandmother to think it's funny or whatever, but it's one of those things where he's saying it, but it's not supposed to be taken seriously. I think for the most part.
Okay.
And that's so combine that with our modern day of you can look back into anybody's comments for forever, right? And that becomes the issue, is that you can delve back and you can hold somebody accountable to things that they said decades ago, and as Monty said, people change over time, right? You have to look at their life, where they are and what they've done since then. And the other thing is all of these comments were made before he even made the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, right? So Disney was fine with him until now.
Who
So all of a
decided?
sudden-
Who decided to look back on his comments in Twitter?
It's some, I forgot the guy's name, but he purposely looked through every single tweet that this guy had and dug up.
tweets of this.
Yeah, so he dug it up and just said, to Disney, look what this guy has done.
So someone was against
he was
him.
out
They
for
were
him.
really,
Yeah.
They
someone
was
was really
definitely out
for
for
him.
him.
Yeah,
It's
so
It must have been one of the
Right.
actors that wanted to play his role and couldn't get it.
So, but,
I'm gonna do this.
so this guy just promoted it, but to not only Disney but to the world or something.
it was more focused towards Disney. And because, with the whole thing with Roseanne, it was kind of like a knee-jerk response to, well, he's got to get fire him, And it's kind of like the cast wrote this lengthy letter they all signed about how much they support James Gunn, hoping to move forward and have, him back. But it's kind of like, I want him back, but the question is, let's say for argument's sake, he does not come back and he do make the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Would you watch it? 2, there are going to be rides in Disney that are based on the Guardians of the Galaxy. Would you write that if he does not come back?
I'll answer that. I mean, I Guardians of the Galaxy is probably my favorite Marvel movie that was made, the first one. I wasn't too big a fan of the second one. I thought it diminished quite a bit, but I'd watch whatever they're going to do. I mean, there's been changing of directors, and writers between, series that I like. I'll just give a perfect example. Star Wars, right? So Empire Strikes Back was directed by a completely different person than George Lucas, as was, Return of the Jedi. So it's not to say that they can't do a good job. I think the bigger issue is that if we set this sort of as a baseline and we say, okay, people are accountable for everything they say in the past forever, that's a really dangerous thing to start going down. And that's the thing that I'd sort of want to get away from.
Yeah.
And I'll follow this up with one thing, and I'll let you guys jump in. The reason I was talking about where James Gunn came from and, you know, what he did before and the type of movies that he made before, I think there's a reason why I like Guardians of the Galaxy, right? There's a little bit of an edge to it. There's a little bit of a difference to it. And I think it's the reason why Disney got him, because he had done some stuff before that was a little bit different, right? A little bit off of center. And so if you hire a person who is a little bit off of center in order to appeal to a different audience, you have to sort of accept that person for being a little bit off of center sometimes, right? And forgive them for a little bit of their discretions from the past.
I agree with Colin.
But I do agree with the, like, would you still, like, do you go ahead and judge a person based off what they did, like, 9-8 years ago? Because I can tell you there are some things that I posted on my Facebook when I was like in 6th grade, right? So if someone was to just go ahead and dig that up, like, hey, look what this guy went ahead and posted when in like 2011, go ahead and fire him. I'm just like, bro, I was in 6th grade, like I was stupid. All
That's
right,
when we're influenced of like dark humor and stuff like that.
exactly, and let's see. I do understand, you know, like that's just business why they're going to go ahead and use another script, because they just feel like, oh well, now he's kind of like tainted this, and we just need the people like certain people not like to know, like, hey, yeah, this isn't his script, so go ahead, bring your children here or whatever, like. But at the end of the day, he kind of already set the tone. You know what I mean? Like, so to go ahead and say, hey, all of a sudden, let's go ahead and bring a third writer, like, you're bringing in a person who, okay, their job is probably to, like, they're going to be able to adapt to whatever he's already, like, set.
Established, right?
Yeah, whatever he's already established with the first 2 movies, so they're going to be ready, like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and make it this way. At the same time, you're losing that bit of, like, well, like, what he brought special to the series, you know what I mean? So, like, you're obviously, like, it's not gonna feel the same. So I do also understand why Dave Bautista is deciding, hey, like, I don't want to be a part of this, because it's like, you know, you look at them, and I think that's with the whole like Marvel Cinematic Universe. They actually do seem as if they really do get along. It's actually a family bonding rather than, oh yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and like make these movies and you get your paycheck, I get my paycheck, and we're just never gonna go ahead and talk to each other. Like, they're close, and for them to go ahead and they sign that letter actually shows something. So this is kind of him like showing his loyalty to James Gunn and say, yo, I'm gonna use your script, I'm not gonna even be in the movie, because
Now, if he's under contract, then that's a whole other issue.
yeah, that's the thing. Like he is under contract. He said that he wants to try to get out of the contract. So
Yeah.
hey, go ahead and give us the most monotone Drax performance ever.
He said, where I'm at right now is that if Marvel doesn't use the script, then I'm going to ask them to release me from my contract, cut me out, or recast me. I'll be doing James a disservice if I didn't.
Yeah. I just hope Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is actually good.
It's not going to be if they
2
don't use
was
that
not
script.
that good.
No, bro, it's gonna be worse than Spider-Man: Homecoming. So
Oh my God.
we all know.
Hope not.
No, you're not. No, yeah.
What? That's great. You're going to high five me. Anyways, yep.
Okay.
Steven, do you have a topic in there that you want to talk about?
Nah.
Next topic. Pete, ready?
Already.
This is one I'm excited about. I don't know how excited everybody else is about, but Batwoman has been cast for the CW. All right. So,
I don't really watch DC.
so yes, everybody knows the CW has their own little universe, which is actually better than the DCEU,
Yeah.
which is crazy. All right. So this Batwoman has been cast as Ruby Rose. Everybody knows her from Orange is the New Black. So like the character of Kate Kane. So it's gonna be Kate Kane as Batwoman. I'm familiar with Barbara.
Yeah. But Barbara is Batgirl.
Yeah. So like, no premiere date has been listed. So yeah, it just says that Ruby Rose has been cast.
If I remember from what they talked about in the last Comic-Con panel, is that there's going to be a crossover sometime
With
the
the-
end of the year.
Well,
And
Green
she's
Arrow?
going to, for all of them, you know, for Arrow, Flash, Legends, and Flash, Supergirl,
Or Flash.
and Supergirl. So somewhere in there, I think she's going to be introduced to do
And
Batwoman.
I like this because it does open up like more. You actually do see DC deciding with the Arrowverse. That's what they call it. So the Arrowverse, like they're opening it more to add more DC heroes in. And I think they started it off. They started off small, where they're just going ahead and say, "Hey, let's go ahead and put Green Arrow there." And have everybody get adjusted to Green Arrow. Then he had a good season or two before they decided, "Hey, let's go ahead
Bring in the
throw in
Flash.
the Flash." And then it just goes ahead and expands. They get Legends of Tomorrow. They get Supergirl. So at this rate that is growing at, and now they added Black Lightning, so that's growing as well. And now they're adding Batwoman. So they have actually confirmed that Bruce Wayne and Batman are in the verse, because I think in Supergirl season 1 or season 2, they've actually referenced Batman. They were like, "Oh, you're gonna be like Clark's friend, the really dark
Right.
one." So I'm just like, "Oh, well, that's Batman." And Oliver Queen, and I think not this. I don't know what season just came out, like season 5, the one where he's actually trying to take care of his son. That one, where he's about to get they're trying to say, "Oh yeah, you're the Green Arrow," even though like he really is, and then he's just like saying that I'm the Green Arrow is just like saying that Bruce Wayne runs across rooftops and all that. Yeah, so
Right.
it's cool that they've actually gone ahead. They referenced Batman. Haven't put him in anything yet, so.
No, I think we can hold off on the major players.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, they brought in elongated man on the Flash. A weird, stretchy guy, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
It worked perfectly on the Flash.
And what I really do
It's
like,
the Flash.
what I really do like is that they're bringing all these DC heroes and DC characters that people really aren't like. A lot of people aren't familiar with them. You know what I mean? So like you said, they brought in Elongated Man. They brought in Cisco Ramon on the Flash. He plays Vibe.
Yeah.
Before that, I wasn't even familiar with Vibe.
Same thing.
And
It's
now,
actually superhero.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, really?
Who is he?
Oh.
What does he do?
Well, his powers is that if he touches something, he can sense either the presence of wherever that person is, or he can vibe into the future to get a sense of what's happening.
So really, he's still in Cloak and Dagger's thing. So yeah.
Hey, we know what Marvel does to DC, okay? Okay, like, come on, bro, stop. They steal everything,
I understand.
all right?
But on that same token, you'd have the Supergirl thing.
I think yes,
Yeah.
this is a Supergirl movie. So Warner goes all in on women superheroes with new Supergirl movies. So, I don't know where this is going. Is from what I see. So this isn't gonna be obviously.
Well, it's not going to be supposedly Melissa Benoist, who is playing currently Supergirl on the DCCW.
And I understand that because I believe the reason why they're doing that is to keep, make it less confusing for people. Because I would have had Grant, who plays Flash.
Right.
I would have had him for Flash over Ezra Miller. Okay.
But you can still do that, and you can still support the whole multiverse. So he's from on another Earth, 36. He's from Earth 12. That would be awesome if they actually meet together. You have the exact same Ezra Miller meeting Grant as for Flash, and Jay Garrick, John Wesley Shipp, playing that one. I would love to see them all together like that.
I don't like if there's going to be a company that actually does it. It's going to be Marvel because Marvel has actually acknowledged the fact that within their Netflix shows, for example, like Luke Cage, they've acknowledged the fact that the Avengers are real. They're over there. They're dropping countries out the sky and everything. Like they've acknowledged all
but
that.
they only said it's the incident or the green guy or vague references. I'm just like,
But the fact that it actually references the movie, like it makes more sense. And then, I do think that could the DCU and CW verse actually meet? Like, can they actually do it? Yeah, they could do it because within the CW verse, they've already acknowledged the idea and the fact that the multiverse does actually exist. We get a new Harrison Wells every season on The Flash, so.
That is true.
Yeah, like he's never gone. Yo, man, he's a great actor. Yo, like
Yes.
just that character is amazing. The way that they go ahead and tackle it.
I find it cool that DC with the CW that they're doing this because it does give you kind of like I don't feels like it's the underground of the heroes. And for me, I'm not gonna lie, I already know like DC is kind of the underdog compared to Marvel.
Live action stuff only.
So like DC is not,
Animations are better.
you know, it's not better than Marvel in my opinion in a lot of areas, but with these shows,
What are these a lot of areas?
We covered that topic. We don't want to
so
cross
with,
that bridge.
with these shows though, I feel like what I'm seeing is an underdog coming to like a victory because like they have I guess a good foundation with these shows to continue to do something very great.
And if
so
you've ever just watched any of these seasons, they're
hold on, let me finish.
okay, go ahead.
So
Kanye, he Kanye'd me.
Give me a second.
Hold
so-
my
I'm
beer.
not done
I'm
here.
not done.
that was the second time. So what I would like to see is like these new heroes that you guys mentioned, like one I guess underground heroes that actually matters. I don't throw everyone in there, but underground heroes that actually like that you're interested in. Make these shows where you're building up this universe, kind of like Marvel did with their movies, and then see that kind of overcome to the movie industry. So like I would ask you, what DC hero do you guys know that you would love to see a show about them instead of just the Flash and Green Arrow?
What
Those are like
DC
the two.
show? Like what DC hero?
Yeah, DC hero.
Well, I don't know, cause
You guys know any?
they're bringing Titan like the Titans to the screen. I don't know if that's gonna be on CW or they're
Wait.
Titans is going to be on the
Wait,
DC Universe
streaming
streaming
service?
service.
Wait, hold on, wait. Titans?
Yes,
Teen Titans.
The,
a live action Teen Titans,
The real Teen Titans.
a dark
Yeah.
Teen Titan.
Teen-
Well, hold on, wait, you're not talking about the animated, like,
Where-
real
where-
Teen Titans.
Live
Where
action.
Robin's just like Batman. I was like, oh my gosh, hold up.
I don't like it already. Robin should be Batman. That boy should be Nightwing.
He's not Batman. He's like Batman.
Ah, ho.
Yeah.
Like in the game.
He low-key better than Batman. If y'all want to get into this argument,
We're not getting into this argument right
I'm not getting
now.
into this argument.
Batman.
Because it
trash,
depends
man.
on what Robin we're talking about.
Yeah.
For real, we're talking about Dick Grayson.
Like, let's get this fact, right?
If
I'm
it
just
ain't
gonna say this.
Nightwing, I don't want to hear it.
I'm just gonna say this. Every Robin has something on Batman, right? Like
Yeah.
they all do something better than like Batman. For example, you have Dick Grayson. I don't know. Dick Grayson is what more like. He's Dick Grayson. No, you have Tim Drake. Tim Drake's a better like detective than Batman. You know, Jason Todd, the best Robin. I don't care. Jason Todd is able to do the things that like Batman's not willing to do, kill. So, they all-
Listen, Red Hood can beat everybody. I don't care.
you're right because he's the best Robin that ever was.
He's not even Robin no more. He's Red Hood.
I don't care.
What
He was
name
the
you
best-
just said?
He was what Jason Todd, the best Robin to ever exist. And then there's Damian Wayne because you know. All right, next. All right, Marvel movies will no longer be released on Netflix starting with Captain Marvel.
That's stupid.
All right, so Marvel has gone ahead. They've released all their Marvel movies on there. Like they just come like and go. I do see Thor Ragnarok, and I want to go watch it because I think like it's a good Thor from what I've seen, like the little scenes I've seen. But I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. I'm sad because I was gonna start watching them once they go ahead and drop on there. I'm waiting for Infinity War to go ahead and drop on there. But yeah.
Well, isn't Disney? They're starting their own streaming service,
Right, so that's why they're doing this.
Which is stupid.
Bro.
Gotta pay for Disney streaming service.
But because I do understand everything's going to streaming. You guys gotta understand. I work for DirecTV. I understand people don't like DirecTV. DirecTV now, you know what DirecTV is trying to do? Start their own streaming service. It's called DirecTV Now. $35 a month. Go ahead and get that.
Wow. In
Yeah.
podcast promotion.
Big- yeah, DirecTV's not paying me anymore to say this, so yeah, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, they're not paying me a lot anyways. But what I was saying, all right, so I don't understand everything's going to streaming, and they're just trying to get away from Netflix. It's where like everybody's saying, "Yo, Netflix is big empire right now. Let's go ahead and copy them," but it's too late. They actually like it's one of those things where you actually see like, "Yo, the formula works," and they just got this big like. It's like watching somebody cook, and then you're just like, "Yo, we're just gonna go ahead and just cook the same thing," and it's like, bro, we don't need the same cake at the party.
No, I know.
Someone already brought the cake.
You bake cakes, not cook them.
Cake book, yeah, I don't care.
Question: if it's somebody else's party and you bring your own cake, is it good enough for you to eat it?
Depends on the cake.
Hey, what type of cake we're talking about, G?
Does it have cream cheese icing?
Is it real velvet?
Back to the top.
It's whatever cake y'all want to bring to this party.
Okay,
All
stop.
So aside from that, we are going to get another season of Daredevil this year. We also are getting Iron Fist 2. It's not in the list, but reason I bring that up because Star Wars is also not going to be on Netflix, but I think prior to the next one, anything after that, it'll be on Disney. But it's only because of the licensing rights are with everyone else, and they're not going to give that up anytime soon. But as far as shows like Daredevil, Jessica Jones, all
Black
that,
Clover.
that
Speaking of-
will definitely be going over. to
Well,
Disney.
speaking of Star Wars, how many Star Wars are on Netflix? Because I just started watching the Star Wars that's like Return of the Jedi, and it's kind of good. So that's like actually the first Star Wars I ever watched.
Okay. I know that at one time they had the Clone Wars, in which there's going to be another season, and that's also going to be on the streaming service.
So what happened?
The Clone Wars.
No.
Have you seen the animated series?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's another season coming out, but that's
gonna be on Netflix?
specifically for Disney streaming
The
service.
second one is only coming out for Disney.
So it's coming out for Showbox also. That's what I'm hearing. Bad.
Stop. Oh gosh. All right. So for the streaming service, all right. So they're obviously gonna have, cause this is what I'm like. This is what I'm trying to understand, right? What do they plan to put on there other than like the movies? Is this gonna be like a bunch of like Disney shows?
It
like,
was going to be a new Star Wars series, which is going to be costing $100 million for 10 episodes.
when you're Disney, it doesn't. It's
Right. It doesn't make a difference.
That's a dime. Like, oh.
You can subscribe everyone. It'll take care of that cost of that show.
Yeah.
Every other properties, all the Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, their Pixar stuff, the regular in-house animation stuff, they'll have it all together.
So they really are trying to move from just being, because the way that I see it, and every company knows it right now, is that streaming is obviously the big thing. No, nobody's really watching cable anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I get a million calls from people today talking about, hey, yeah, I want to go ahead and send this back. Why? Oh, I have a Roku TV, I have an Apple TV, I can
Right.
stream. You know what I mean? So I do understand.
Fire stick.
Yeah, I have a Fire Stick. I can stream. I don't have to sit there and pay. And it's cheaper than just paying for
Right.
cable, because people pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars of cable. I look at these
And for
bills.
stuff that they don't even watch.
And yeah, it's like half the stuff you're not even watching. You know, people are only getting cable. Oh yeah, well, I like this channel, this channel, this channel, this channel, and they got a $300 like, not $300, like 300 channels in that one package. Just like, so you're not gonna watch all the rest of this stuff, bro. That's kind of idiotic.
Stupid.
Exactly. So it's like, I do understand. Go ahead, switch over to streaming where, okay, I can go ahead and decide what I do want to watch. I just got Netflix. Netflix is the greatest thing that I've ever got. I'm paying for the one account, so it's like $8 a month, right? And then it's like, I don't have to watch everything on Netflix, and I can just watch what I want to watch. Yo, watching that Inuyasha again. It's amazing, guys.
But on that token, CBS All Access, which has Star Trek Discovery, there's nothing going on until the beginning of next year. So I'm not going to be paying $5 or however per month just to see other shows that I'm not going to be watching.
Yeah.
So that's the danger of not having a well-crafted idea like DC Universe has Swamp Thing, Titans.
Swamp Thing is his own show?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So there are a couple of other shows, plus access to the DC comics as a package
Wait,
deal.
so you can watch the
You can read the comics online as well.
When is
so
this releasing?
no date yet, but you can do pre-order. So if you do the pre-order, it's like $79, and you get 15.
Wait, how much?
$79 for a year, but you get an additional 3 months.
Per year?
per year.
Wait. So it's $70 like
Some-
each year.
Each year. So if we break it down with the extra months, it's like $6 a month.
That's better than.
Plus all the animated stuff, plus the new shows and all that. So I'm thinking that's a better idea. Disney may come close because of their Star Wars properties. I mean, Netflix really is going to have to up their game and start creating content, which is like Mark Millar's universe. He has his own comic book property, and they're doing shows based on his comic
So
books.
now my question.
Stranger Things.
My question.
Stranger Things also
Since Disney
producing.
is getting their own streaming service, do they go ahead and uproot Jessica Jones?
Yeah,
They-
that's what I'm saying.
They take
I'm
all that.
pretty
and-
sure that will happen. Yes.
So
Because
no more
that's what
Luke
I'm
Cage
thinking,
on
like,
Netflix.
I don't think it's going to happen anymore.
Because it's like, yo, why would I just go ahead and
And put this on for them when we can just grab that content.
snatch all of
Netflix
this
was
and-
full anyways. Y'all man
But,
go to Disney.
I'm,
No,
I'm,
but-
I'm with him.
I
'cause,
use
like,
Hulu.
I use
Hulu
SoapBox.
too as well.
No, because
I
like
don't watch the Marvel shows. On
like
Hulu.
romantic comedies are taking over Netflix. Like you rarely see like superhero things on Netflix anymore.
Well, you'll see that with Mark Millar stuff coming soon. So that's a whole universe of his
I'm
stuff.
gonna tell you why DC's gonna be Disney. Young Justice,
Oh, that's right. Young Justice is also going to be on the streaming service.
and that is looking amazing. Oh my god.
So that definitely is the reason why I would go with Disney, the DC universe 1st, easily without having to watch any new shows.
Yeah, 'cause-
Disney, I'll get to it when it happens, sometime late 2019, I think.
Because if it's for the fact that okay, I'm getting the Star Wars properties, I'm also getting all the Marvel movies, but then it's like, like what after that? Like, what do you really offer me after that? If
Right.
DC's giving me the comics, like, yo, I'm set.
Right.
I'm Gucci. I'm just gonna go ahead. All right, watch the show. I don't feel
Right.
like watching anything right now. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up on like the last comic. Check out the new 52. All right. So, all right. What's Bloodshot? I need to know.
Bloodshot is Valiant Comics that is kind of up and coming, and they're getting other properties that are going to be made as well. But the big news is that Vin Diesel.
Oh yeah, this was supposed to be at the bottom of the stack. I don't know how it got here.
The only way I would join, not the only way, but without a doubt, I would join like DC or these other companies if they also give me the games that are related.
You're doing
to
the
them.
most. Uno. Okay,
So
like
I'm telling you, gaming's they're going
Stop.
to that area too. I'm telling you, streaming. So if you give me these games that I could play as long as I'm subscribed that are related,
but here's the thing. Here's the problem.
joining.
Here's the problem, right? You talk about games. Most people who are just gonna be getting this, think about it, right? This laptop ain't running no Injustice, my guy. This laptop ain't running no type of amazing graphics. I can see their nose hair follicles, none of that, right? So
Not yet.
leave it to PS4 where they have a pretty okay game streaming service. I don't know. All right, so
But even if that was the case, aside from Spider-Man, what other Marvel game that uses a character that you're like, oh, I love?
Marvel vs. Capcom. Man,
Okay, let's put non-Marvel stuff to the side. DC has it all, and basically Injustice names it, just drops it right there. Marvel really doesn't have anything that like is as comparative to that, other than Spider-Man. And how many Spider-Mans have there been out there?
This next one is actually going to be, in my opinion, the only one that actually seems good. And that's just because it looks good. All of them have looked good. All of them have been trash when you played them.
That's not true.
You're going to sit here and lie to me?
That's not true.
Tell me
All right,
which
you
one
guys.
was actually good.
We're gonna.
All of them?
Yes.
So you're talking about the Wii one. Remember the Wii one? Yeah.
Hold on, wait, what are we talking about?
No.
The
do you
Spider-Man
remember-
game.
I don't know if you remember the Spider-Man
Oh,
game.
finally, we
Wait,
got
stop.
about Spider-Man, my
He's
guy.
too excited. Stop.
Yay!
You talking about the
Calm
new
him
one?
down. Calm him
talking
down.
about the new
Calm
one?
him
Guys.
down. Calm both of them down.
Guys,
Hold
did
up,
y'all
wait,
know
wait,
there
wait,
was
wait.
not a Spider-Man for 4 years?
But back to what I was saying. Do you remember the Spider-Man games where Spider-Man would just webs to the sky, my guy? What is he holding on to?
Oh, you talking about Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2?
bro.
The early games.
All Spider-Man
When he couldn't
games were
touch the
not
floor?
amazing. But I'm gonna say, now all DC games have been amazing because Superman
exact
64.
Yeah, well,
Hey, but it is
we they lose some and they win some, but hey, they made all that up with the Arkham Knight series.
all right. So that's going to be the end of our podcast for this week. So thanks everyone for contributing, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks to pick up a new topic on comic books.